Hello everyone, welcome to AWS Summit Online, and today we are going to be talking about um, Dynatrace's new observability platform and how you can actually enable it to run with an automated AIOps driven approach. I'm Safiya and I'll be walking through with this presentation to you today. So we know that the world is changing and it is doing so rapidly. From being able to purchase and be present in conferences, we are moving to virtual meetups. We are in front of our laptops and doing a tech conference today. So transformation is accelerating at a record pace and dynamic multi-cloud is the new normal. This leads to immense amount of complexity and being able to scale massively at the same time. The stakes have also become very high. So we know that shifting to virtual instead of physical, and we have very little number of resources, and the time is also of critical value to us today. With this, every industry transforming itself, we know that traditional APM tools also need to transform. And so they are in the process of shifting their focus from just simple monitoring to something we call observability. With traditional monitoring solutions, we typically see that there are too many tools that are collecting data. The sources are a lot, and processing is done by a third-party vendor or an AIOps tool, which aggregates all of these metrics that are being collected and gives up alerts. So instead of reducing the noise, it ends up creating more noise and does not even provide you with a definite root cause for your problems. This manual effort actually results in too much time being wasted, and we see that a lot of people are reacting to problems after they reach production rather than proactively reducing the number of problems. This whole process is very cumbersome and adding on a lot of burden of tuning the different solutions to your requirements. So basically, observability, which is the new kid on the block, it runs with the simple principle and proposes the idea that dump all the data into one place and then analyze it rather than collecting it from different sources and feeding it to an AIOps solution. Get data into one place and then use analysis to get it. So this is the new way. With the new way, it has driven the growth for a full platform in order to cater to the needs of growing IT landscapes. You need a platform which is driven by automation and intelligence in place of manual tuning. You need to get more proactive than reactive, moving from fixing errors in production to capturing them earlier in the pipeline and to provide better customer experience. You need to automate the mundane tasks to regain your time for innovation. And you have to concentrate on monitoring everything. Have smart systems in place to observe all areas of the stack and to auto adapt to changes. You cannot manually go in and adapt to changes anymore. At the same time, you need to be able to share data with your teams to empower data-driven collaboration and innovation. So don't just monitor your CPUs and your memory, but also your customer journey and the user experience with real-time business analytics. So Dynatrace provides you such a platform, and this platform has support for over 500 technology stacks in a fully automated fashion and in a hands-off approach with no code changes. So we are talking about something that can go in, monitor your application end to end with zero configuration required. There are three basic pillars of observability. One is traces, so traces of all your transactions. The second is metrics, metrics for all tiers of your application. Whether you have databases or service tiers or cloud infrastructure, you want to be able to gather metrics for everything. And logs for a full picture. So three pillars of observability are very important, but along with those three pillars, you need to add in a lot more. You need to add in the context of what the problem is. You need to add relationships into your environment and also how things are connected to each other. So this can give you a root cause, not just give you metrics in your face. So Dynatrace offers a powerful platform to monitor full stack IT landscapes all the way from traditional data centers to hybrid cloud platforms. You can get observability into your full stack starting all the way from your infrastructure into your application and microservices, along with a fully integrated digital experience suite with real-time business analytics. What is more, you can also integrate this with your cloud automation pipelines by using quality gates to deliver better software faster in line with all your service level indicators and your service level objectives. So we'll take a look at how the Dynatrace platform actually works. We talked a lot about it. Let's see how it works. So there is a secret sauce which says that the first thing is one agent. We have 5 different capabilities of the platform itself. The first one is the one agent. When we say the one agent, we actually mean an agent which is capable of monitoring your entire application without any configuration. So you can install the one agent. It is truly one because you do not have to install multiple agents for your multiple technology stacks. This one agent is capable of going in all your different technology stacks and be able to monitor them without any problems. The second thing that you would need is called a pure path. So a pure path is automatic end-to-end code level visibility. So instead of having to go in and manually write what you want to trace and start and end your traces, you're able to do that automatically because Dynatrace understands your application and is able to capture the traces by itself. Also being able to discover everything automatically. So since you're installing the one agent, it is capable of going in and discovering your environment from top down and be able to give you your entire topology without having to map it. The very important thing that we will be talking about today is our AI engine, which is called Davis. So it is used for a true AI ops approach where you can automatically detect problems. It gives you root cause analysis and also causation. It's not just telling you how things are correlated to each other, but it is giving you the true causation without causing a lot of alert storms in your environment. You can use all of this information to automate your problem remediation. So we know that problems happen. You cannot stop them from happening, but when they happen, instead of manually getting on a call in the middle of the night, you can automate your pipelines to do or provide remediation actions for all of your applications. So using these problems, you can create those remediation actions. You can utilize things like AWS Lambda functions. You can use Slack, or you can use any kind of a native service that is built in to go in and solve your problems by themselves, or use the API to run the automated workflows for you. We're not only just talking about being able to monitor your applications at a lower scale, but blowing it all up. So without any manual configurations, our customers are able to start monitoring the limits of more than 10,000 hosts while they have a barbecue in their house. So they're not sitting and installing agents as we talk, but they can automate their deployments and go ahead and be able to do all of this with a hands-off approach. You get all of this from your monitoring solutions, but you also need to be able to look at your customer journeys to be able to tie your digital business into your what you're delivering today. So if you have applications that you're delivering, you want to be able to see how your customers are using those applications and how they are seeing it, if there are any rage clicks that are happening, or if who's clicking on your application, what happens within your app. You want to be able to take a look at all of that and tie all that into your performance and see not just how your application is performing, but also how your customers are utilizing that application. So we talked a lot about Dynatrace and how it tries to do it. Let's do a live demo so we can actually take a look at how Dynatrace is doing this, how it is providing observability into your platform, and what are the different areas that Dynatrace can help you with.
Today, we are going to talk about how Dynatrace supports observability. So when we say observability, there are 3 major pillars of observability. One is metrics. The first one is actually metrics, being able to gather metrics from all different sources of data and putting it in one single pane of glass. So here you can see that you are able to get everything within Dynatrace, whether you have whatever services you have running within your AWS environment, whether it is load balancers, EC2 instances, or Lambda functions, any kind of network load balancers you have, or even any database instances that you would have. So any relational database systems that you have, you can get all of those metrics, your Beanstalk instances, everything is coming into Dynatrace, and you can actually take a look at all of these metrics. You can jump down into details of these metrics and look at dashboards that are pertaining to each individual service within Dynatrace. So whether you're using EC2 instances, what is your infrastructure looks like, how much CPU utilization is there, how many instances you have, how many are stopped, how many are currently running, what were terminated. So we're looking at the data for the last 2 hours. So in the last 2 hours, in which region of AWS, how many instances were terminated. You have a graph of all of that metrics coming in, how much network you're using, your egress, your ingress, everything is being picked up by Dynatrace. So no matter what services you are using, no matter whether you're deployed within AWS or a hybrid cloud, Dynatrace has the capability to pick up any kind of metrics and be able to show it to you within a single pane of glass. The second pillar of observability is traces. When we say traces, we're talking about within your application, how is the journey being conducted? If somebody hits up your application, what are the proxy chains that it goes through? What are the different components that it hits along the way? And how is the transaction moving? So Dynatrace has the capability to track all of this for you, tell you what are the metrics for each tier, and also be able to show you individual traces all the way back into your database. So if a person comes in and types your web application, says something.com, from there all the way up to booking a journey or being able to book something, buy something from your e-commerce application, and place an order in your system is all captured end to end. When we say traces, it's not just capturing your transaction journeys, but it is also capable of showing to you each individual journey that was taken. So if I did go through this entire stack trace, what were the database statements that existed that came out of it? How many times the database was called? How long did it take for each one of that instance to run, and how many fetches did it do, how many rows did it return. So you have not just the trace but each individual trace that was done by your customer in order to get through that application journey. You have all of those traces available, and your second pillar of observability is checked out by being able to see all traces and look at the metadata. The third pillar of observability is logs. So within Dynatrace, you're actually capable of capturing all the logs. Um, so here what I have is logs from a system. I was able to go in and without making any changes into my configurations, pull out all of these logs in real time and show it to you. So what did the logs say? Whether they are debug, whether they are severe events, or whether it was just a warning or an information that was pasted out in the logs. You can see that. You can see the content of the logs and you can see when it was written. If in case you also want to download the log files, you can go ahead and download these logs files from within Dynatrace. So that eliminates you having to go in manually or physically into the server, logging in and be able to download the files. You can do that from within Dynatrace if you have the right permissions. So Dynatrace has the capability to collect your metrics, your traces, and your logs in show them to you on a single pane of glass. You can see everything. You can then create metrics out of your logs if you want to do monitor patterns, if you want to see what was written in my logs, if something is consistently written all the time, I want to be able to be notified about it, or if I want the Dynatrace Davis to detect the problems, you can do that, and also alert. So if you want to be notified for any of the log problems that you're having, you have the capability to go in and put all of that within Dynatrace. So this checks in all three of your observability pillars. You want to collect metrics. There's a checkbox whether you're coming in from AWS or your hybrid cloud environment where you are installed within your own data center. You have the capability to collect the metrics. The second thing is traces. You can collect traces, not just traces, overall traces, but also each individual trace and logs. So whatever is being written into your log files, wherever it is being written, Dynatrace has the capability to go in and capture all of that for you. While we covered all the three pillars of observability, now we will see what Dynatrace brings additional to the table. There are a lot of things that are done along with this data. You just don't want to be in the business of collecting data and manually trying to have to update it. So the two important things that Dynatrace brings to the table, actually a lot more. So let's talk a little bit about the differentiating factors. The one thing that it brings additional to observability is context, which is very important. So you are collecting your metrics, your traces, and your logs. You also want to be able to build all of them together with a context or tie them together with a context. You want to see how they are related to each other without having to go in and manually do that yourself. So how does Dynatrace get you this information is by being able to monitor your entire stack end to end. So you can see I have Dynatrace deployed within my AWS US East region. So when I have it, it goes in and monitors all of my Linux boxes. It's able to go ahead and see, irrespective of the technology, whether it is Linux or it is Windows, it is being monitored by Dynatrace, or if there are any kind of cloud services like relational databases that are there, or maybe there are any load balancers that are being deployed within AWS. You can see all of those components in a single pane of glass without having to configure much. And you can also monitor the full stack. So if you have an application that is making a call to these underlying services that are running on your AWS infrastructure, you have full end-to-end visibility with rich context. So with the relationships, that how things are related to each other, what is running on top of what. So if you have a Linux box, how many MongoDB instances or your PHP services are running over that Linux box, and what are they serving in the end, whether it is a web application that is being served or if it is a mobile application that is being served. How are things related? Who is making the call? You have all of this rich relationship data that is being captured for you, which also helps you in mapping out your CMDB and being able to map differences or changes within your CMDB by automatically using the Dynatrace's rich Smartscape capabilities. The next question that comes up is that if Dynatrace is able to capture all the relationships, do I have to go in and input and tell Dynatrace that I which service is talking to whom and how things are related within your environment? So the good news is you don't have to actually do that. Dynatrace has a dependency agent or a discovery agent that automatically discovers everything that is running within your environment, and it traces all of your transactions without having to make a code change. So no matter on which platform you are running, whether you're using Windows, Linux, AIX, Solaris, or any kind of PaaS-based instances, whether you're using even AWS Lambda, you can deploy Dynatrace into your environments. Or if you're using Kubernetes or ECS containers or maybe Fargate, we have support for all of these instances, and the download process is fully automated, which means that all you need to do is run a couple of lines of code. So you're just running a couple of lines of codes or integrating this within your deployment scenarios, whether you're using Chef, Puppet, CloudFormation, whatever deployment tool you use, Terraform, you have capability to actually integrate this agent into all of your deployment strategies so that it can automatically go in, monitor all your environment, give you observability for your entire stack, and map out all the relationships so that it has the rich context of how things are related. The relationships are also picked up by it automatically. So when we say it is automated, the first step of automation is deployment. So for your deployment of your monitoring, Dynatrace had made it very easy to make sure that you can monitor everything. Most of the times we see that enterprises monitor a small percentage of their applications because installing the monitoring tool or configuring it is such a huge effort that enterprises cannot afford to do that. So here we are bringing down that effort into zero configuration for you, and everything is integrated, can be integrated into your current deployment scenarios. So this helps you to automate your deployment, making sure that you can get data for your full stack without having to worry about going in and putting it agents everywhere. Now that you have all the metrics and everything has been collected automatically, what do you do with that? You have your metrics, you have all of your traces from coming in from your application. And if you are a true enterprise that has hundreds of thousands of transactions that are coming in on a daily basis, how do you scale or manually scale to be able to look at all that information? It is just impossible to do that. So what Dynatrace brings additional to your observability is in the platform a built-in AIOps approach. So we have an artificial intelligence engine called Davis that takes care of identifying issues when there are any. So you can think of Davis being capable of doing two things out of the box for you. The first thing that it is capable of doing is automatically baselining all the metrics that it collects. So you don't have to go in and put in manual baselines for what is right and what is wrong, what is abnormal and what is normal. You don't have to do that. Davis takes care of doing that for you. So all the hundreds of thousands of metrics, because if you're running a cloud platform, you would know that each individual instance has a large number of metrics, whether it is your EC2 instances or your load balancers. You have a minimum of 5 to 10 metrics that come with each individual component. So you don't have to go in and manually baseline or add normal baselines for each one of them. Davis does that automatically for you. The second thing that it does is it is capable of finding out root cause for you. So if in case something goes wrong from that normal baseline, we have thresholds that are set in looking at your application, looking at the load within your application, looking at how your application behaves at certain point in the day. The engine is capable of setting thresholds and letting you know when there are items that go away from that threshold. So you can see here that if at all there is a problem that happens, the Davis engine is capable of identifying the problem, for how long was the problem open, and also give you the business impact. So this is not just going to tell you where your application was slow, but also how many users were impacted by it and what application they were trying to access at the time of the problem, whether they were trying to access your web application or your mobile application, which was in this case being rendered by the same load balancer. So which application was impacted and how many users were impacted. So you can go in and drill down into each individual user here, and by what degree was the application impacted. So typically it is supposed to load in some amount of time, or there are no failures usually, but now the JavaScript errors have increased. There are too many crashes that are happening on my mobile application. So it was automatically able to pick up and tell you that the crash affected 12 users, and the fact that people were not able to validate their credit card on your web service. So you can actually go in and take a look at that. And we have, when we say digital experience suite, we also mean that there is HTTP monitors or synthetic transactions that can run against your application. And even before your users notify you of your application being down, your synthetic monitors can go in and tell you when your application is down or unresponsive. So you can record this entire transaction flow and run it from different parts of the world to identify or get to the problem quicker. The next thing, we saw that Dynatrace is capable of giving you rich context. So where does this context actually fit in? So this is where the context fits in. It is capable of reducing noise for you. So when you have to go in and plug in your monitoring metrics into a third-party solution so that it reduces your noise, you don't have to do that now anymore, because what Dynatrace is capable of doing is, through that rich context data that it has, it can pick up all of this noise, tie them together, and tell you that if 10 components were involved in the problem, it doesn't mean there are 10 problems that I would open up. It just means that I open up one intelligent problem. I give you the visual path which says that how the problem started, how did it propagate, what was the life cycle of the problem, and how did it resolve itself, or if somebody made a code change that fixed the problem. So the whole context that we were talking about, that Dynatrace is able to automatically discover, is coming into use here in your AI Ops solution, where it is truly capable of going in and finding out or reducing noise for you so that you don't have to go in and plug in and figure out if 10 components were involved in a problem, how were they related. All of this is being done for you through the root cause engine that is called Davis. All of this is great information. I have my metrics. I know what was the problem. I know how many users were impacted and how we are able to reduce noise by giving you a single comprehensive problem. But the next thing that comes in is, how do I fix the problem? What is the root cause that was happening? So the engine also is capable of going in and telling you or single out the root cause for you. So if you go in and say, I just want to know what is the root cause and how can I fix it? So the root cause of the problem is that a service of yours was throwing 500 errors, and you can go drill down into the exact line of code which was giving you those 500 errors. You can go in, fix those 500 errors, and be able to be up and running in no time again. So this is where everything comes together. Your metrics are being used to automatically baseline all the thresholds that you would have within your environment. Everything is done for you. The second thing that is your traces are used to identify root causes, where if you, in case something goes wrong within your trace, you don't have to manually sit and look at this 194 traces to be able to come to a pattern, but all of this is being done by you through the Davis engine. So if you have hundreds of thousands of requests, you can see which ones were the ones that were running into a problem, and also be able to get to a root cause very, very quickly through a couple of clicks in your environment and drill down into the actual line of code. And all of this is possible because you are automating your monitoring solution, which means that you don't have to go in and make any code changes. You're removing that manual effort and you are applying AI on top of it to be able to do some high level AI ops monitoring or AI ops level integrations for your environment, where you can go in and take a look at how your applications are behaving and get true observability, not just collect data from different data sources and tie everything together. Having all of this information and automating your monitoring is the first step. The second thing that you can do is also automate your remediation actions. Since everything is automated, you have deployed the agents in an automated fashion. You're getting Davis to be able to identify issues without having to put any manual effort into it. You can work on true innovations to deliver features into your application. And the next thing is to actually think about remediating issues automatically. So if in case you have any problem that was detected by Davis, you can go ahead and call a Lambda function, or call an API that is making a call to a Lambda function, and have that fix the problem that is occurring, or maybe log in a ticket into Jira, or put it into your X Matters, or send a page duty to someone, or put it just in Slack or a ServiceNow ticket which says that there is a problem, somebody needs to go and take a look at it, or the best part is being able to use Lambda functions to actually do remediation actions where you can say, call the Lambda function to increase the number of EC2 instances if the CPU goes up. Or if at all you're seeing high load and your systems are not able to take that load, you can call in a Lambda function to actually increase the underlying capacity of your instances. This gives you a lot more room to work on innovating, on adding new features into your application than having to sit and or babysit your monitoring solution in order to get actionable insights. All of this is available to you out of the box with Dynatrace's observability platform.
So now that we saw the capabilities of Dynatrace, we know that what it can do in your observability space. Let's actually take a look at what Dynatrace is offering in your AWS environment. So as we totally understand that cloud or multi-cloud is the way to go, and Amazon is right at the core of innovation for all of you enterprises. So we have a very deep integration with AWS, and our collaboration is immensely growing with time. So we support totally out of the box, not just your infrastructure as a service that you use from Amazon, but also your dynamic environments, whether you're using AWS Lambda functions or Fargate or EKS instances, or maybe your Beanstalk instances and your outposts. All of these are integrated with Dynatrace One Agent today, and you will be able to get deep code level visibility into all of those services. The next thing is the set of services that you cannot install the agent on, where you do not have the right to install the agent. For all of those things, Dynatrace has a direct integration with AWS CloudWatch, where we pull out all of those metrics for you, and we are able to give you all this information out of the box. So you can go ahead and sign up for a 15-day free trial. You can go to dynatrace.com/trial, and the full trial is available to you for free for 15 days. You can see it in action within your own data and take a look at what it gives you, what are the problems that it can detect for you, and how you can free up your time from monitoring or manually implementing observability into your applications, into innovating faster and transforming digitally. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate AWS for giving us the opportunity to share the Dynatrace story with you. And if you can, please do take a couple of minutes to complete the session survey and let us know how we did. Thank you.